Local people, important issues. CBS 10 WILM's weekly focus on the Lower Cape Fear region. This is Byline Wilmington with your host, Don Ansell.
Welcome and good morning. Well, after a narrow defeat to Julia Bozeman 2 years ago, Attorney Michael Lee is again running for that New Hanover County State Senate seat. But first, he faces a Republican primary fight with Tom Goolsbee, who was, by the way, a guest on this program last week. So today, we're talking with Michael Lee for more on his second bid for that 9th District State Senate seat. Michael, nice to see you again. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me here today.
Why do you think Julia Bozeman decided not to run?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to her, and I don't want to speculate. I know that the policies that she supported in the past are not popular, whether it's the tax increases or the spending increases, but it's hard for me to speculate as to why she didn't want to run this time.
Well, what went into your decision to go again?
Well, it had a lot to do with the same reason we wanted to do it the first time, and I say we is because my wife and I are doing this together. She supports me at home. It has a lot to do with the way our state's been run, whether it's the tax and spend policy that we've had, the failure of priorities that we've had, or the corruption that we see now finally coming to light that we've seen for many years. This was all going on when I decided to run against Julia Bozeman the first time.
Are you saying that corruption in state government is a Democratic Party issue, and that Republicans don't have that same veneer? Or?
Well, they say power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and you know the Democrats have been in power now for over 100 years. There has been some spots, obviously, where we've had a few Republican governors, but they've been in power and they've been in control, and we're starting to see a lot of the corruption that has come out of that.
Why do you think you were defeated in the last election against Bozeman?
Well, it was, as you know, it was close. We lost by just a little over 3% of the vote, and it had a lot to do with what was going on in the national arena. And you could feel that at the polls. A lot of people were voting straight ticket Democrat, in early voting especially. And I think that groundswell, as you saw all across the state and actually all across the United States, went on the Democratic side of the ticket.
Although Obama didn't carry New Hanover County. Right,
that's true. But what you saw in that straight Democratic ticket vote is all the way down the line, all across the state, it was overwhelmingly Democrat.
I read an interview that you gave, I don't know exactly when it was after the election, and you cited that you were outspent by the Bozeman campaign. Do you still feel that was the reason, one of the reasons you didn't win the election?
Certainly, it's difficult to compete against someone who can get on the airwaves all the time and who has the name ID that she has. I think she spent around $870,000.
I was going to say it was it was the most expensive Senate race in the state last time. I think it was 1.1 ballpark.
870,000, which was hers.
Yeah, and because you said in that interview that you were outspent like by $500,000, so I figured 800 and about 300, right in that neighborhood. So the issue of campaign spending can be a deciding factor, do you think?
Well, you have to be able to get your message out. And in order to get your message out, you have to be able to get it out to a lot of people. And while I'm out there all the time going to meetings and talking to folks and really getting a feel for our community, in order to get out to 150,000 voters, you have to be able to get out on the airwaves and get that message
So it can
across.
be a deciding factor.
It can be.
But this time around, you're facing a Republican primary fight against a local fellow attorney, Tom Goolsbee, who was on the program last week. How surprised were you that he jumped into the ring?
Well, I haven't really thought about how surprised I was. I was surprised that he put $200,000 of his own money into it, but I understand, you know, why he did that. So
why?
Well, I mean, it's somewhat typical to try and clear the field. You announce early, put a lot of money in, and he, from what I understand, intends to spend all of that money as well.
Did he speak to you about his intention to run before he announced?
He did not. He called me the night before and left me a voicemail, and then he announced the next day.
And you mentioned he committed $200,000. When I asked him about that on the show, he said it was from his savings, and it was to demonstrate that he was serious about the run. Did you interpret it as a message to you and to Democrats that he would be well financed?
Whenever someone puts in several $100,000 of their own money, whether it's a message or not, it does come across that you're going to have to compete against that. And the way that we compete against it in our campaign is we have supporters, people that contribute money, who believe in me and believe in the message that we have, so that we can get that out to other people who may not know about that message. So
last campaign you spent, what'd you say, a little under $300,000?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number.
Yeah. Any of it your own money?
No.
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 It was all fundraising.
Right. I made a loan to my campaign originally to get started, and there are still a few loans outstanding.
It was the most expensive. I'll have to go back to this because it's an astounding figure for a state senate seat, $1.1 million. Granted, your opponent spent the bulk of that, like 3/4 of that. Why do you think money is? Why do you think people give that kind of money to campaigns to spend?
Well, my opponent was getting a lot of money from the party.
From the Democratic Party.
From the Democratic Party, and that was to maintain control of the seat so they could maintain control of the Senate.
How well supported were you by the Republican Party?
I was one of the top 3 seats where they were supporting me as well.
But they didn't have the kind of money Democrats had?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the Democrats wanted to keep this seat. It was a pivotal seat to retain control. And that's one of the things that we're looking at this next time around. The Senate, Republicans need to take control of the Senate. If they're going to do that, we have to win this seat. It's one of the most important seats.
Why do you think the Republicans are not as well financed as a party as the Democrats are?
The fundraising machine that the Democrats have had in Raleigh for many, many years has been able to generate just significant revenue into their coffers. And I don't want to speculate as to why, but they've been able to raise significant amounts of money to stay in power.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back. Tom Goolsbee said he will spend whatever it takes to win the primary and the seat in Raleigh. We'll talk about that with his primary opponent, Michael Lee, when we come back. Stay with us.